It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops the
The NBA Finals are all set. We're going to see a rematch between LeBron and Steph Curry, Cavaliers versus Warriors. Welcome to Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, joined by the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi. How's it going, good sir?
It's going awesome, Raindrops. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Looking forward to chatting about the conference finals and hearing some of your thoughts on the NBA Finals. But before we get into it, I understand that we've got an official Nard Dogg Raptors season statement. Do you want to read that out for us, Nard Dogg?
Yeah, it's quite the statement. It's just my thoughts on the season, and I'll just start it off. Thank you, 2015-16 Toronto Raptors. That was a lot of freaking fun. Well, not always, but god damn, what a trip. I'll always remember this incredible run. To hell with the naysayers, critics, and doubters. The Raptors worked extremely hard to get this far. They're a really good team. Kyle Lowry is the sixth god, and the Batman to DeMar DeRozan's Robin. Dwayne Casey is one hell of a coach. Bismack Biyombo earned himself some money. Jonas Valanciunas is a huge stud. Norman Powell was the steal of the draft, and I called that on draft night. What an NBA playoff run this was. Don't be disappointed, but be proud of what they accomplished against all the odds.
Fantastic, and I gotta say, I second that for sure. This is a Raptors season where fans, players, the entire organization, everyone can keep their heads held up high. What a fight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made it all the way to the conference finals, and they handed 2 losses to LeBron and the Cavs. That's huge. That is nothing to shrug your shoulders at, that's for sure.
Yeah, you gotta be extremely proud of this team. I don't think anyone thought before the season started that the Raptors would get this far. Even I predicted the Raptors would probably win 45, 50 games, maybe win a round, and look what happened.
They went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history, won a best-of-7 series for the first time in franchise history, set a franchise mark for wins in a season with 56. The All-Star Weekend was held in Toronto. Jonas Valanciunas, like you said, became a stud in the league. Bismack Biyombo was earning some cash during the offseason. Lowry and DeRozan really came alive. Lowry, 2 years in a row, all-star starter. DeMar DeRozan was an all-star. Dwayne Casey is the coach of the future for the Raptors. So many positives to take out of this season. And in the postseason, in the conference finals, yeah, they handed the Cavs 2 losses. Amazing.
And I just love the offseason acquisitions that they made. Corey Joseph, he was stellar all season. He was an awesome backup, way better than Vasquez. I think we all knew that. And then Biyombo, what else is there to say? He's getting paid this offseason. And DeMar Carroll, yes, he doesn't have the best contract, but he showed up at the end of the season, played the playoffs, and did really well.
Yeah, he sure did, especially with all the injuries that he faced during the regular season. He missed a lot of games, but he came back and he put in his time, hustled, and he did his part. He helped out the team big time, hitting some big shots down the stretch in certain games, playing some great defense. A great performance from DeMar Carroll, a great performance from so many of the Raptors, so much development, and the future is bright. We spent so many years watching the Raptors struggle and kind of shaking our heads at this team. And sure, there were some ugly games during the regular season, and sure, there were some ugly games during the conference finals against the Cavaliers. But at the end of the day, we can keep our heads held high in regards to this Toronto Raptors season.
And it's all right. They lost to a really, really good team. The Cavs, they just had way too much talent for the Raptors to overcome. And congrats to the Cavs. I wasn't too fond of the refereeing in the series, but what can you do? We the other.
We the other. That's what it's all about, and I am so proud of the Toronto Raptors franchise, the entire organization. What a great group of people. that are involved in the Toronto Raptors organization, a great crop of players, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens during the offseason and going into next year and seeing how far the Raptors can go. And I do believe that there's a good chance that in our lifetime, we're going to see the Toronto Raptors win at least one NBA championship.
And it's fun because you don't often see a conference finals team get a ninth overall pick in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, that's big.
They could do a lot of things with that pick. They can maybe package that pick for another really good player, or they can find themselves a stud. You never know.
You never know what could happen. Look at what they did in last year's draft. As you said, they picked up Norman Powell, and he really developed his game. And I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I think he can do some damage for the Raptors down the line.
And the Raptors do have 2 first-round picks. They have the 27th pick.
Perfect. So things are looking good in Toronto Raptor land. It's great. Now we're going to see the Cavs move on. They're moving on to the NBA Finals to face Steph Curry in the Golden State Warriors in a rematch of last year's Finals, in which, of course, the Golden State Warriors won. Who do you think is going to win the NBA championship? Are we going to see a repeat, or are we going to see LeBron really turn it up and get some revenge and win another championship?
This is going to be really interesting because we know in the first round last year, Kevin Love went out with that injury. He didn't play the rest of the playoffs. And Kyrie Irving fractured his kneecap in the NBA Finals last year. So they got both those guys healthy. They got Channing Frye, who's been really well. He's been playing really well since they traded for him in the deadline.
Oh, yes.
So it's really, really interesting what happens.
And they've got J.R. Smith, a great sharpshooter. I think it's going to be a very different series than what we saw last year. I am looking forward to watching the NBA Finals. Personally, I was really hoping for a Raptors-Thunder final. If not Raptors-Thunder, I was actually leaning more towards the Thunder to win that series against the Golden State Warriors, just so Kevin Durant could get a ring. But we'll move on and talk about Kevin Durant in a little bit. Got some thoughts on what he's going to do during the offseason, whether or not he's going to stay in OKC or move on to another team. But I think it's going to be a totally different NBA Finals than what we saw last year.
Oh, sure.
It's tough to predict who's going to win this one, especially when you add in Kevin Love playing in the finals and Kyrie Irving playing for the full run of the NBA Finals. You do look at the Warriors. They did come back from being down 3-1 against the Thunder, so they're going to take that momentum and ride that into the NBA Finals, and that's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, but they got to be more consistent, not allow these double-digit leads. They got to keep it rolling from the start to finish.
I'm not sure if we're going to see 7 games out of this series.
No?
I'm saying we're going to see 6 games. I don't know if we're going to push it to 7. I don't know yet. It's tough to predict with this series. If I had to pick a team, I honestly think, let's see. It's tough. I think I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go on a limb. And I'm just thinking about it. And knowing that the Warriors came back down 3-1, but you look at the Cavs and they've got a full healthy lineup. And they played so well during the regular season. The Warriors played so well during the regular season, setting the best record in NBA history, 73-9. Honestly, right now, if I had to give a concrete answer, I'm saying that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the NBA championship for the second year in a row. 73-9, came back in the conference finals from being down 3-1. I think they're just going to take that momentum and keep on going. Klay Thompson has stepped it up huge, and he's playing even better than he did last year. Steph Curry is just out of this world. They've got Iguodala, who's a great defender. They have a lot of fantastic players. So does Cleveland.
How about Anderson Varejao? He's the first NBA player in history to get traded, and both those teams from the trade are playing each other in the finals.
Yeah, so Anderson Varejao playing in a historic final series because he started off the season.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. He started off the regular season in Cleveland, and now he's playing for the Golden State Warriors. So that adds a little extra element of spice to this NBA Finals. But I think my final answer, I think the Golden State Warriors are winning the NBA championship again. What about you?
I'm going to start by saying it's going to be a 3-point showdown. Both these teams, they just go off from 3.
Oh, yeah.
the Warriors set a NBA record in playoffs with 93 points made in the conference finals.
Unreal.
It's going to be much closer, obviously, than last year. But, like you, I'm going to pick the Warriors, but I think it goes back to Oakland for Game 7.
You think it's going 7? I'd like to, personally, I'd like to see that because that just means more basketball to watch, and it stretches out the regular season, so we've got more games to watch.
Oh, yeah. And then we got the draft, and then we got the Olympics.
Yeah, we're all set. And as you said, talking about that 3-point contest between the two teams, big time. You've got Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, even Iguodala can hit some threes. And then you look at Cleveland, Channing Frye, Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I hope LeBron doesn't flop like he did in the conference finals.
You mean get hit by his own player and just collapse to the ground?
Flopping almost out of the building. It's almost like Tristan Thompson, his arms are made out of steel or something. Because he took down LeBron. Oh, that was hilarious. So ridiculous.
But I don't hate LeBron. I just don't like how sometimes he just plays like a... How do you say?
A prima donna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. LeBron can be a big baby from time to time, and he can kind of take that superstar status to another level. He is one hell of a basketball player, but sometimes it's like, come on, be a professional. Don't do that.
Take it easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be a fun series, but as you said, as I was saying earlier, I'm taking the Golden State Warriors 2 years in a row. Steph Curry, NBA MVP 2 years in a row. They set that league record 73-9 during the regular season, and coming back huge against the Thunder, winning it in Game 7. I think they've got it again this year.
They're 86 and 15 on the season total. That's
impressive.
That's not right.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Like Steph Curry, it's out of this world. Now, looking at the Western Conference Finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder did not make it to the NBA Finals. What do you think that means for Kevin Durant? Is KD staying?
First off, I think the Thunders got way too cocky in that post-game interview in Game 4 when they were asked about Steph Curry's defense and they were just laughing it off. That's just gonna fuel a guy like Curry's fire. But back to the Thunder, I think I have this feeling that Durant's done in Oklahoma City.
You think he's done? Well, they've made it to the finals before with Kevin Durant. He still has yet to win an NBA championship, and he's been in the league for quite some time now. I agree. I think he's going to move on. There's a part of me says he's going to stay in OKC, but I don't know if there's... Especially with them being up 3-1 and then losing to the Warriors in Game 7.
Yeah.
I think he might move on, and there's a couple of candidates for him, mainly in the Eastern Conference. You got the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, San Antonio Spurs. That's another possibility.
And the Raptors.
The Toronto Raptors. Kevin Durant's favorite team as a kid was the Toronto Raptors. Keeping our fingers crossed, we can afford to bring Kevin Durant to Canada. It'd be great.
Here's the thing about Durant. I think he's ridiculous. Like if he leaves OKC and doesn't go to the Eastern Conference, he goes to the Eastern Conference Finals to say Washington, his hometown, they're probably at conference finals every year. He goes to Boston, likely the same thing. And even the Raptors, he'll push them over the top. They go to the conference finals every year.
Possibly NBA Finals.
Why would you want to stay in OKC where you have to compete with the likes of the Warriors and Spurs every year, and you basically have no chance of going to the finals?
I agree, and that's probably his best option. If he's leaving OKC, go to the Eastern Conference. Imagine him on the Wizards, though. You've got that big three, Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Kevin Durant. Throw in Gortat in there. Wow.
Imagine him on the Western team, like, say, the Spurs playing with Aldridge and Leonard.
Yeah, that would be, especially with the possibility of Tim Duncan retiring and eventually Ginobili and Parker leaving the game. That would be a new era, a new big three for the Spurs, just continuing that dynasty, that legacy.
And what if Durant just says screw it to everyone and just decides to go to the Warriors? They'd have to probably lose Harrison Barnes and Iguodala, who are both free agents. But that's a big three right there with Durant, Curry, and Thompson.
Oh, if Durant goes to the Golden State Warriors, the Golden State Warriors are winning the NBA championship next year.
Three-peat.
Yep, that's if they didn't, that would be a huge surprise. I personally would like to see Durant on the Toronto Raptors, but
obviously,
if that doesn't work out, I like what the Raptors have going for them. Because you see a lot of their players really grew, and there's a lot of some comments regarding Coach Dwayne Casey. If the Raptors were to lose, had they lost in the first round, Casey would have been gone. What do you think about Dwayne Casey's coaching? Do you think, as Masai Ujiri has said, do you think Casey is the coach of the future for Toronto?
I think sometimes he's overboard, Casey, but at the end of the day, he's obviously the best coach in franchise history. They improve every single season with him. And yeah, he's most likely going to get a contract extension later this week sometime.
Mm-hmm.
That's the talk right now.
Yeah.
But I don't mind Casey. He's a respected coach around the league. He's won a championship already with the Mavericks as the assistant. So
he gets the job done, and I think he's helped turn the players around. And I really like the Raptors coaching staff. They've got Jerry Stackhouse as an assistant. He played in the league for many years, so he's got a great basketball mind. Jamal McGlure, the big cat from Toronto. It's good to have him as part of the Raptors, teaching guys like Lucas Nogueira and Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah, and Nick Nurse, and there's a couple other guys as well on that coaching staff.
Yeah, they've got a wonderful bench and a wonderful staff in Toronto. It's great to see and helping out the younger guys develop. And how about this season too? Sticking on the Raptors, the 905. The Toronto Raptors have their own development team, which is great for guys like Bruno Caboclo, someone like Lucas Nogueira, even Norman Powell.
Yeah, it did really well for Norman Powell. I think he got a 39-point game, and then right after that, Casey just called him up, and the rest is history. He's now a rotation player on the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, it's a great success story, that's for sure. Now, on a more... You told me before this that you had some negative thoughts about the Raptors, two players in particular, if you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, well, obviously everyone knows my dislike for Terrence Ross, and I'll just start off by saying I think Masai should just get rid of him. Find someone, anyone, any team in the NBA, just get rid of the guy. I don't care if it's for potato chips. He's not a good performer. We've seen 4 years out of him. He hasn't really improved. This playoffs especially, he got benched because he was playing so bad. It's just, you just gotta, it's 4 years. It's enough time to know when a player should not be part of the future.
Yeah, exactly. And he can play well. He has had some good games, but he's just not consistent enough. And it's a lot of bad games, more bad games than good games.
And Norman Powell has proven that he's basically a great replacement for Terrence Ross.
I agree with you. So I think you can trade Ross for a future draft pick and some cash, and I'd be fine with that. Or you can get a decent role player, maybe a veteran, a younger player. Go for it.
Now, I might get some hate for this other guy, Patrick Patterson, but I don't know. His shooting's way too inconsistent. He's a decent defender, but he shot 30% in the playoffs from 3, 21 for 70, I believe. He's just you can't do that. It's too inconsistent for my liking, and I understand he has 1 more year left on his contract.
So it's a big year for Patrick Patterson to prove himself to the Nard Dogg, right?
Or maybe just ship him off and maybe find another stretch for free agent. Like there's an interesting player in Ryan Anderson. He's a free agent there.
Ryan Anderson? Yeah, good shooter.
Paul Gasol, he has a player option.
Oh.
What if he opts out and the Raptors get Paul Gasol?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. And before Gasol signed with the Lakers, Well, not the Lakers. Before he signed with the Bulls, there was talk about him, the Raptors being a potential team for him to join, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just think the Raptors need that stretch forward. Even Mirza Teletovic, he's a decent player. I don't know. He's a good replacement for Scola, probably.
Oh yeah. Do you think Scola's going to be sticking around, or do you think he's done in Toronto?
I think it was just a one and done year.
Well, if it is, I think Scola played his role properly. He did a good job in Toronto.
Solid player, solid veteran, solid locker room guy. Solid guy all around, just solid.
Just solid. Luis Scola, another player who really developed his game, mainly at the end of the season and in the postseason, was of course Big Bismack Biyombo. Is Biyombo do the Raptors pay a lot of money to keep Biyombo, or do you let Bismack walk?
Thing is, I don't think they can pay Biyombo that much money and re-sign DeRozan. They got to pick between those.
And if you pick between those, I go with DeRozan.
Now, there was talk that Biyombo might take a hometown discount and stay with the Raptors, but I think once it's July 1st, some teams is just going to offer him a ridiculous amount of money, and Biyombo is just going to say, I have a family to feed, and all that jazz.
And the thing is, with Biyombo, not to go into necessarily too negative, but you pay him a lot of money, and he could have, he could be a bust next season.
Yeah,
I hope not. I hope not for his sake, because I like Bismack Biyombo, and he did so many great things for the Raptors, including grabbing down a franchise record 26 rebounds.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting offseason that Masai Ujiri is going to have. Even Al Horford, he's an unrestricted free agent. Maybe he takes a discount and he wants to play for a contender, and he joins DeRozan, Lowry, Valanciunas. What a starting five that would be.
That'd be a great starting five, and I think you got to keep.
He's got the connection with DeMar Carroll on the Raptors. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, keep the Hawks team together. That's a really good starting lineup. Lowry, DeRozan, Carroll, Horford, Valanciunas. Awesome. Yeah. That's a really good starting five.
They sign a guy like Teletovic off the bench. That's Eastern Conference Finals again.
Yeah, that's big.
Is that maybe a pipe dream? Possibly, but
possibly not. Possibly not. Now, I say you keep DeMar DeRozan.
Do you?
Yeah. And there's some reports that DeRozan may be going to the Lakers. I think, and he'd rather stay with Toronto. And he said that he's always had Toronto in his future. And he made a comment not too long ago saying that staying with one team for your entire career is an incredible thought. And I think that's really cool. And I have a lot of respect for players that are able to stay with one team for their entire careers. Guys like Reggie Miller and Kobe, of course, as I've said, and Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Tony Parker. DeMar DeRozan, if he were to be a lifetime Raptor, that would be fantastic.
I watched the end of the season press conference of DeRozan, and I just got this really good vibe that he's going to stay, most likely.
I think so. I think he's going to stay in Toronto, which I'd be very happy to see.
Yeah, I think it's truly just, it's either Raptors or Lakers, and do you go to a Lakers team, do you replace Kobe Bryant, Hall of Famer, and do you want to start over on a losing team? Or do you stay with Raptors, conference finals, they just won 56 games, like franchise record? I don't know, to him it probably seems like an easy situation.
Yeah, I think you stick with the contender. You stick with the Toronto Raptors. So, as you said, it's going to be an interesting offseason for Masai Ujiri and the Raptors organization. See what if they do any shakeups, see what players stay, what players go, what new players are added onto the roster. It's going to be really interesting to see for the Toronto Raptors. And for the league as a whole. Like we were talking about, Kevin Durant. Where's he going to end up?
Like I said, I don't think he's staying in OKC.
Neither do I. I think he's moving on, and it's in his best interest to, well, if he stays in the West, join the Warriors or the Spurs. But I think if he wants to join another jump ship to the Eastern Conference, I think that would work out well for him.
Yeah, obviously it would have to be the Warriors or Spurs.
Yeah, I don't think anywhere else is going to work out for him.
Shocks the world and goes to Portland. That actually wouldn't even be a bad idea.
Not really. Like, look at Damian Lillard, Durant,
CJ
McCollum. Yeah, good things are happening in Portland. So that's.
Oh yeah.
Now, in kind of shifting gears, in other NBA news, something a little bit on a darker note, New Orleans Pelicans player Bryce Dejean-Jones recently passed away at 23 years old. Do you have any thoughts or comments on that, Nard Dogg?
It just really sucks when you hear like this something like this happen, because he came from their D League team. They signed him for the remainder of the season. I think they signed him to an extension, a 2-year extension. But yeah, he started, I think it was 15 some odd games with them, the Pelicans this year. And he put up some decent stats. It looked like he might have a role player kind of career in the NBA. And it's heartbreaking to see something happen to such a young athlete.
Yeah, it's very sad to see a situation like this. Yeah, it's just, I didn't know much about him as a player, but when I saw the headlines and found out that he had been killed, I was like, wow, I'm shocked. That's terrible. That's very, very sad.
Yeah, it's a really tragic thing that happened. He thought he was knocking on the door of his ex-girlfriend, I believe. It was just the wrong apartment.
Yeah, kind of the wrong place at the wrong time, but of course, wishing all the best to his family and the Pelicans organization. Just a very, very sad situation in the NBA.
Yeah.
Well, Nard Dogg, is there anything else that you want to cover? Any other thoughts as the NBA Finals start up? Rematch, Warriors versus Cavaliers, LeBron versus Chef Curry.
I can't wait for this NBA Finals. It's going to be such a delight.
It is going to be a delight to watch. I'm really looking forward to checking out these games.
I've really enjoyed this postseason. I think it's been one of the best postseasons. Well, obviously, we're kind of biased because of the Raptors.
Of course.
Yeah, there's been some other good showdowns in the West, like the Thunder and Warriors. It's been great.
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun to watch playoff basketball this year. Exciting times in the NBA, and I'm happy that that we're alive for it. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Well, Nard Dogg, as per usual, where can people, where can they find you online? Where can they chat basketball with you on the interweb?
You can find me on the Twitter at DavidBernardi7.
Perfect. Well, you can find me on the Twitter at JustinGoulet21. You can also find me on Instagram at JustinGoulet21 as well.
Yeah, and that's also my Instagram account.
There you go, at DavidBernardi7. Check us out, and also don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to check out our Facebook page, Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet.
And I'm the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Full Court Press, and we will catch you next time.
Cheers.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops